The gathering hall had never been so quiet. Hundreds of wolves stood beneath the carved wooden beams. Packs from every corner of the Northern Territory gathered for the one night each year when the Alpha King chose his mate. Torchlight flickered across stone walls. Every eye in the room was fixed on the raised platform where King Draven Ashcroft stood, tall and unshaken, his dark eyes locked on the woman before him. Elara Voss did not bow. She stood at the base of the platform, her chin lifted, her hands steady at her sides, even though her heart pounded so hard, she was sure the whole room could hear it. Draven had just spoken the words. Every wolf in the kingdom longed to hear from their king. He had called her name. He had named her his chosen mate, in front of every pack, every elder, every rival. And she said no. "I refuse the claim," she said, her voice carrying clearly through the silent hall. "I will not be your mate, my king." A gasp rippled through the crowd. Somewhere near the back, a low growl broke out, quickly silenced. No one refused an Alpha King, not in living memory, not ever. Draven's jaw tightened, but he did not raise his voice. He was known for his control, for the calm that never cracked even in battle. Yet something in his eyes shifted as he looked at her, something raw beneath the composure. "You would humiliate me before the packs," he said quietly, though everyone heard it. "I would rather humiliate you than lie to you," Elara answered. "I do not belong to anyone, Your Majesty. Not even a king." She turned before he could respond, walked straight through the parting crowd, and did not look back. The great doors of the hall closed behind her with a sound like thunder. That night, Elara did not return to her chambers. She packed what little she owned, a change of clothes, a hunting knife her father had left her, a small pouch of coin, and slipped out through the servants' passage before the moon reached its highest point. She had one destination in mind, the one place no Alpha King's law could follow her. The Roguelands. It was forbidden territory, a stretch of wild forest and broken hills beyond the kingdom's border, where no pack held claim. Wolves who lived there had no king, no laws, no protection either. It was said only the desperate or the discarded went there. Elara was neither, not exactly, but she would rather face the unknown dangers of the Roguelands than spend one more night as property to be claimed. She ran through the trees under a sky heavy with stars, her bare feet silent against the cold earth, her wolf senses sharp and alert. By the time she reached the old stone marker that divided the kingdom from the forbidden lands, she was breathing hard, but she did not hesitate. She stepped across the line. Behind her, unseen and unheard, a second set of footsteps followed. Draven had left the gathering hall within minutes of her exit, ignoring the shouts of his council, ignoring the horrified faces of his advisors, who reminded him that a king did not chase anyone, least of all a woman who had just shamed him in front of the entire kingdom. He did not care. Something in him, something instinctive and old, refused to let her walk into danger alone. He told no guards where he was going. He shed his royal coat, left his crown on the table, and slipped out into the night, wearing nothing that marked him as king. By the time he reached the border, Wara was already deep into the trees, but her scent was unmistakable to him now, a thread he could follow blindfolded. He crossed into the Roguelands alone. The forest here was different from the tamed woods of the kingdom. The trees grew wild and crooked, the undergrowth thick with thorns, and the air itself seemed to hum with a kind of danger that made even a king's instincts sharpen. Draven moved carefully, tracking her scent through the dark, aware that every rustle of leaves could be nothing, or could be a rogue wolf sizing him up as prey. He found her an hour later, crouched beside a stream, filling a small water skin with trembling hands. She heard him before she saw him, and spun around, knife raised, ready to fight. Her eyes widened when she recognized him. "You followed me," she said, disbelief coloring her voice. "You left your kingdom to follow me here?" "I couldn't let you walk into this alone," Draven said. He kept his hands visible, his posture non-threatening, though every part of him wanted to pull her close and demand she return home where it was safe. "Whatever you think of me, Elara, I did not come to force you into anything." "Then why are you here?" "Because I need to understand why you said no," he answered. "And because this land will kill you if you're not careful. And I would rather die trying to protect you than live wondering if I could have stopped it. For a long moment, she said nothing. The stream trickled quietly between them, the only sound in the vast, dark forest. You shouldn't have come, she finally said, but there was less anger in her voice now, more exhaustion. You have no idea what you've walked into. Then teach me, Draven said simply. She studied him for a long moment. This king who had thrown away his crown and his safety to chase a woman who had rejected him in front of his entire kingdom. Something about the sincerity in his eyes made her lower her knife, just slightly. Fine, she said at last, but you follow my lead here, not the other way around. In this land, titles mean nothing. Out here, you're just another wolf, same as me. Draven nodded, understood. They moved through the forest together as the night deepened, Ilara leading with practiced ease, reading signs in broken branches and disturbed earth that Draven would never have noticed on his own. She showed him how to avoid the marked territories of rogue packs, how to mask their scent near water, how to recognize the warning howls that meant danger was near. He watched her with growing respect. This was not the composed, formal woman he had known from brief encounters at court. Out here, she was alive in a different way, sharp and capable, entirely herself. You've been here before, he said as they paused to rest beneath a rocky outcrop, the moon casting pale light across her face. Once, she admitted, a long time ago. My father brought me here when I was young, before everything happened to our pack. What happened? Ilara was quiet for a moment, staring into the darkness beyond their small shelter. My father was accused of treason against the crown. Your father's crown, she added, glancing at him. They said he conspired against the throne. He didn't, but no one listened. Our pack was stripped of its lands, our name disgraced. My father died believing the kingdom he served had betrayed him. Draven felt something cold settle in his chest. I didn't know. Of course you didn't. It happened before you took the throne. But I grew up watching what happens when you trust a crown with your loyalty. I watched my mother beg for mercy that never came. I swore I would never belong to anyone who could take everything from me with a single word. She looked at him directly now, her eyes glistening in the moonlight. That's why I said no, Draven. Not because I don't feel something when I look at you, but because being claimed means being owned, and I have spent my whole life clawing my way out from under someone else's power. Draven was silent for a long moment, absorbing the weight of what she had shared. When he finally spoke, his voice was quieter than she had ever heard it. I cannot undo what happened to your family, he said. I wish I could, but I can tell you this. I do not want to own you, Ilara. I never did. I called your name at the gathering because something in me recognized something in you, a strength I've never seen in anyone else. I wanted to stand beside you, not above you. I simply didn't know how to say that without the old words, the old customs. I am sorry if that felt like a chain instead of a choice. Ilara studied his face, searching for any sign of dishonesty, but found none. The king who sat before her now, stripped of his crown and his guards, exhausted and vulnerable in the dark forest, seemed nothing like the distant ruler she had feared becoming property to. Before either of them could speak further, a low growl rumbled from the trees behind them. 3 rogue wolves emerged from the shadows, lean and hungry-eyed, drawn by the scent of strangers in their territory. Ilara was on her feet instantly, knife ready, positioning herself between Draven and the threat. Stay behind me, she said. Absolutely not, Draven answered, already shifting his stance to stand beside her rather than behind her. The rogues circled slowly, sizing up the 2 intruders. In the rogue lands, there was no law to stop them from attacking, no king's justice to fear. Here, strength alone decided outcomes. Ilara spoke first, her voice steady and commanding despite the danger. We seek no territory here. We pass through only tonight. The largest of the 3 rogues bared his teeth. Passage costs. Leave your supplies and we let you walk. We have little to give, Ilara said carefully, aware that showing fear now would only invite attack. Draven stepped forward, his voice low but firm. We mean no disrespect to your land or your law. Let us pass in peace, and we will trouble you no further. The rogue leader studied them both for a long moment, clearly weighing whether the risk of a fight was worth whatever meager supplies they carried. Then, unexpectedly, he tilted his head toward Alara. You. I know that scent. Voss blood. Alara stiffened. You knew my father? Knew of him. A good wolf. Wronged by the crown. Many out here remember his name. The rogue leader's gaze shifted to Draven, taking in his bearing despite the plain clothes. And you carry yourself like someone used to being obeyed. Draven said nothing, unwilling to lie but unwilling to reveal his identity either. The rogue leader studied them a moment longer, then stepped back, gesturing for his companions to lower their guard. Voss blood walks free in these lands, always. And whoever you are, he added to Draven, you stood beside her instead of behind her. That matters out here. The three rogues melted back into the trees as quickly as they had appeared, leaving Alara and Draven alone once more in the quiet forest. Alara exhaled slowly, lowering her knife. That could have gone very differently. But it didn't, Draven said. Because of you. Because your father's name still means something out here. Something good. They walked in silence for a while after that, the tension of the encounter slowly fading into something softer between them. As dawn began to touch the sky with pale gold light, they reached a quiet clearing, where the trees opened up to reveal a view of rolling hills stretching toward the horizon. Alara stopped walking and turned to face him. I still don't want to be claimed, she said. Not by a crown, not by a title, not by anyone who thinks they own me because of a ceremony and a bloodline. Draven nodded slowly. Then I won't claim you. But, she asked, sensing there was more. But I would still like to stand beside you, he said. Not as your king, just as Draven. If you would have me, not because tradition demands it, but because you choose it. Alara looked at him for a long moment, the morning light catching the honesty in his eyes. For the first time since she had refused him in that crowded hall, she felt something loosen in her chest, some old fear finally beginning to release its grip. I choose it, she said quietly, not the crown, not the king, just you. Draven reached for her hand, and this time she did not pull away. Together, they stood at the edge of the Roguelands, as the sun rose fully over the hills, two wolves who had found something neither law nor lineage could have given them, a bond chosen freely, on equal ground, with nothing between them but the truth. They would return to the kingdom eventually, and there would be much to face, old customs to challenge, a council to convince, a new way of ruling to build together. But for now, in the quiet dawn of the Forbidden Lands, none of that mattered. She had refused the Alpha King's claim, but she had chosen the man behind the crown, and that choice, freely made, was stronger than any claim could ever be.